Alexander Lukashenko is determined to declare himself president of Belarus for a seventh term. His first term began back in 1994. Since then, Lukashenko has managed to usurp all power in the state, carry out several political repression campaigns, and firmly entrenched the country in total economic and political dependence on Russia. In 2025, the so-called presidential elections will not even have observers from the OSCE. The US State Department has directly stated that the voting in Belarus is not trustworthy.
I deeply regret the decision of the Belarusian authorities not to invite OSCE states through ODHR to observe the forthcoming presidential election, depriving the country's citizens of a transparent and full assessment of the entire process. This decision underscores the continued lack of commitment by the Belarusian authorities to invite other OSCE states to observe and provide an independent view on whether the elections are held in line with OSCE commitments and international democratic standards. Maria Telalian, director of the Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights, from the statement on OSCE website.
In Europe, there has been a response to yet another violation of democratic processes in Belarus. The European Parliament has passed a resolution on combating election suppression and falsification in the country. Denouncing the ongoing grave violations of human rights and democratic principles in Belarus, which have further intensified in the run-up to the so-called presidential election on 26 of January, Parliament asks the EU, its member states and the international community not to recognize the legitimacy of incumbent dictator Alexander Lukashenko as president after the vote, from the statement of the European Parliament website. This time, the Belarusian opposition is not calling for mass protests due to the high risk involved. However, opposition leader Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya stated that Lukashenko is playing his usual game before the so-called elections, releasing political prisoners in the hope of making concessions to the West. She reminded that such actions do not indicate a weakening of oppression. On the contrary, the number of arrests in Belarus continues to grow.
Even small actions can lead to significant changes. The main thing is not to remain indifferent and not to tolerate injustice. We don't talk every day about how these elections are fraud. You already know that. In the context of this deception, we are trying to protect you, asking you to care of yourselves and those around you, because the most important thing is people, that is, you. Those who, despite everything, remain strong, do not lose hope and help each other.
Meanwhile, Belarus remains a source of threat for its European neighbors. After a series of provocations by Minsk at the border with Poland, Warsaw decided to take strong measures to protect itself from Belarus. The Eastern Shield project is already underway, a multi-layered border defense system modeled after Ukraine's experience. We are preparing for war in peacetime. We are preparing for everything, including the possibility that, God forbid, firearms may be used. Because today you never know who or from which side might carry out a provocation. So I prefer to be prepared, and that's just our standard. Concerns about provocations by Lukashenko's regime are also present in Lithuania. A few weeks before the so-called elections in Belarus, Defense Minister Dovilė Šakalienė signed an order extending the military's readiness for the next 6 months until June. This means the military will assist in maintaining order at the border. Reported by Pavlo Štermo, Larisa Petruk, UATV News.